You know that feeling? You're sitting across from someone you love, someone who chose you, and you're both in the same room, breathing the same air, and somehow, you feel completely, terrifyingly alone. It's not dramatic. There's no explosion. There's just silence. And in that silence, your brain starts running. Why does this keep happening? Is this just what long-term relationships feel like? Do I still love them, or have I just gotten used to them? Am I the problem? Here's the truth that nobody talks about, and it will reframe everything. The relationship didn't get harder because your love faded. It got harder because your safety did. You see, what looks like emotional distance, what looks like shutting down, what looks like them not caring enough to try, it's not any of those things. Not really. It's a nervous system doing what it learned to do a long time ago, long before you came along. And here's what no one has probably told you. You are not failing at love. You are not with the wrong person. And this isn't some cosmic sign that you're doomed. Every couple that has ever loved each other has stood exactly where you're standing. In this video, you're going to understand why avoidant patterns develop in relationships, what they're really protecting, and the exact shift that changes everything about how connected you feel, starting today. Let's get into it. Before we get into the patterns, let me give you something. A mental framework that will change how you see every interaction from this point forward. Most couples believe that one person in the relationship is more emotionally unavailable than the other, like it's just a personality trait, a fixed thing, something you're stuck with. They think, I married someone who can't open up. That's just who he is. That's just who she is. But here's what the research actually shows. What looks like emotional unavailability isn't a personality. It's a strategy. It's a nervous system that learned, very early, that closeness comes with a cost. That needing someone too much leads to disappointment. That showing your full, messy, dependent self ends badly. So the brain built a wall. And that wall has been holding for decades. And when your partner hits that wall, when they reach for you and encounter silence, their nervous system reads it as rejection before their mind can catch up. It can't tell the difference between "you're doing it again" and "you don't love me." It just knows something hurts. And here's what nobody explains. The more they push, the deeper your partner retreats. Because from the inside of that wall, their reaching feels like pressure. And pressure confirms the original wound. See? Closeness is dangerous. Needing someone is weakness. So I'll protect myself by disappearing. This is the anxious avoidant cycle. And it's not about two people who want different things. It's about two people who are terrified of the same thing, being abandoned, and responding to that terror in opposite directions. One reaches harder, one pulls away faster, both thinking they're protecting themselves. Both just wanting the same thing underneath, to feel safe enough to stay. Most couples confuse emotional safety with emotional comfort. They think, we're fine. We live together. We don't fight that much. We're comfortable. Comfort is the absence of friction. Safety is the presence of trust. Comfortable relationships can still have two people who never really say what they mean, who edit themselves, who have learned to stay in the shallow end so they never risk drowning in each other's mess. Here's the deeper truth. Your nervous system doesn't feel safe when things are easy. It feels safe when things are honest. When you can say the hard thing and not get punished for it. When the other person's response is curiosity instead of defensiveness. Think about the last time you held something back from your partner. Maybe something small, a frustration, a fear, a want. You didn't say it because you were afraid of how they'd respond. That's not a communication problem. That's a safety problem. And the weird part? They probably couldn't even tell you did it. You just swallowed it. And the distance between you got a little wider without either of you knowing it. He's learned that saying how he feels only leads to her crying, so he stopped saying it. And now there's an entire part of him she has never met. Here's the shift. Safety isn't built by removing conflict. It's built by surviving it together. That's when you stop managing each other's emotions and start trusting each other's presence. Here's the part no one talks about. Most people in relationships think that when their partner pulls away, it means they don't care. They think, if she loved me, she'd want to talk about it. If he loved me, he wouldn't just disappear for 3 days. So they chase, they ask, they push. They say things like, "What are you thinking? Talk to me. Why won't you just tell me what's wrong?" And here's what no one explains. That chasing is precisely what makes the withdrawal worse. Your partner isn't pulling away because they don't love you. They're pulling away because something in the relationship, some pattern, some unresolved wound, some moment that didn't get repaired, has activated their threat response. And the threat isn't you. The threat is the feeling that closeness has become unsafe. Their nervous system is like a smoke detector. It cannot tell the difference between your partner raising their voice and actual danger, so it sounds the alarm regardless. It goes, "Something is wrong here. Retreat. Protect yourself. Don't let them in too deep." What looks like stonewalling is usually someone who has been so overwhelmed for so long that silence is the only protection they have left. Imagine 2 versions of the same moment. Disconnection version. You notice your partner has gone quiet. You immediately ask, "Are you mad at me? Did I do something wrong? Why are you being like this?" And their nervous system reads that as pressure, more demand, another thing I have to manage, another person wanting something from me. Connection version. You notice your partner has gone quiet. You put down your phone. You sit near them, not confronting, just present, and you say, "Hey, I can see you're in your head. I'm not going to push. Just know I'm here." And their nervous system reads that as no demand, no judgment, someone who can handle me being a mess without needing me to fix it for them. That pause, that willingness to not chase, is the thing that makes your partner feel safe enough to come back on their own terms. And when they do, the walls between you start to come down without either of you having to say a word. Here's what almost every anxious-leaning partner does without realizing it. They start doing the emotional heavy lifting. They bring up the hard conversations. They manage the relationship's emotional temperature. They remember the anniversaries. They plan the dates. They research how to communicate better. They read the books. They go to therapy. And they start to feel used, exhausted, resentful, like they're carrying the whole relationship on their back while their partner just floats. Most couples don't see this as a problem at first. One partner seems more invested. One partner seems more laid back. But here's the deeper truth underneath the pattern. When one partner overfunctions, they actually prevent the other partner from ever needing to develop emotional capacity. They create a dynamic where one person is the teenager and one person is the parent. And the avoidant partner, paradoxically, never has to confront their own emotional avoidance, because the anxious partner has always managed it for them. Her brain is quietly registering, "He always handles it, so why would I step in? Why would I change? The system is working." This is the trap that looks like love, but slowly becomes control. Because underneath the overfunctioning is often a deeper fear. If I don't manage this, it will fall apart. If I don't bring up the hard stuff, it won't get addressed. If I don't hold us together, we'll drift. And that fear actually creates the very distance it's trying to prevent. Here's the reframe nobody gives you. You cannot make your partner emotionally available. You can only create conditions where they might choose to become available. The shift is this. Stop managing your partner's emotional world. Start holding your own. When you stop rescuing, your partner has to face themselves, and that's terrifying for both of you. But it's also the only door into something real. That's the beginning of two adults, not one adult and one child pretending to be one. Let's talk about what happens in the heat of an argument. Not the things you say, but what happens inside your body. Most couples think fights are about the topic, the dishes, the money, the time he got home, the way she talked to your mom. They think, if we could just resolve this specific issue, we'd be fine. But here's what the research shows, and this will change how you see every argument you've ever had. When one partner's emotional intensity crosses a certain threshold, the other partner's brain doesn't just get stressed, it floods. Their nervous system stops being able to think clearly, to access language, to stay regulated. They go into a kind of emotional shutdown. This isn't about being cold. It's about a nervous system that's trying to protect itself from being overwhelmed. Disconnection version. The argument is escalating. One partner is raising their voice, getting more emotionally intense. The other partner, who has been trying to stay calm, suddenly goes blank. They stop responding. Their face goes flat. They say, "Fine, whatever. I don't even know what we're fighting about anymore." And from the outside, it looks like they're not caring, stonewalling, not engaging. Connection version. The argument is escalating. One partner starts to get intense. The other, who can feel themselves starting to flood, says, "Hey, I'm starting to lose my ability to think. Can we pause for 20 minutes? I want to come back to this with you." That pause isn't avoidance. It's actually the most intimate thing you can do in a moment of conflict. You're saying, "I care enough about this conversation, and about us, to not destroy us with my own overwhelm." Your partner's nervous system is reading every interaction for data, and what you're telling them when you flood is, "I am not safe. I cannot handle you." But what you're telling them when you pause is, "I want to come back to you. I want to do this with you." That's the difference between withdrawal and repair. That's when your partner stops feeling like a problem to manage and starts feeling like a person to come home to. Here's the truth most relationship advice completely misses. Your patterns in relationships aren't random. They're not just about this relationship. They're about your entire history of learning how to be loved. Most people who find themselves in avoidant dynamics, meaning they either are the avoidant one or they're partnered with one, are carrying something from way before, from childhood, from early attachments, from the moment they first learned that needing someone too much was not safe. And this is where it gets really interesting. When two people with different attachment wounds get together, the relationship doesn't just become a partnership, it becomes a reactivation chamber. Every need you learned not to have, every boundary you learned to enforce, every fear you learned to hide, it all starts showing up. The avoidant partner isn't just being cold, they are replaying a scene from 20 years ago where they learned, "If I show how much I need this, it will be taken away." The anxious partner isn't just being clingy, they are replaying a scene where they learned, "If I don't hold on tight enough, people leave." And neither of them knows it. They just feel the pull, and the fear, and the push, and the walls. Something in him is saying, "She doesn't need me to fix this. She just needs me to stay." But staying feels like losing himself, so he retreats. And his partner reads it as leaving, which activates her childhood wound, which makes her reach harder, which makes him retreat further. This isn't about what happened in this relationship. It's about what happened in every relationship that came before it. Here's what changes everything. Awareness. The moment you can see that your pattern has a history, that it's not just about this person or this moment, you gain something no reaction can give you. You gain a choice. You can decide, "I know why I do this. I know why it hurts. And I can choose to do something different. Not because my partner earns it, but because I'm no longer willing to let my past control my present. That shift turns a relationship that feels like a negotiation into one that feels like a refuge. Here's the one most couples never figure out. You can feel close without being intimate, and most long-term relationships are experts at this. You share a bed, you share finances, you share holidays, you know each other's schedules, their families, their friends. You think, we have so much history together, we've been through so much. But underneath all that shared life, there's still a wall. And on each side of the wall, there's a version of yourself your partner has never met. This is false intimacy. It's the performance of closeness without the risk of it. Most people in long-term relationships have become terrified of true intimacy, because true intimacy requires three things that are deeply uncomfortable for avoidant patterns. First, being seen clearly, including the parts you're not proud of. Second, needing someone, and not being certain they'll meet that need. Third, staying present in conflict instead of retreating. Real intimacy doesn't happen in the big moments. It doesn't happen on vacation or on anniversaries or in the bedroom. It happens in the 30-second moments when you choose to be present instead of distracted. When you look up from your phone. When you say what you're actually afraid of instead of what's safe to say. Think about the last time you were in conflict with your partner. Not the big blow-ups, the small ones. The eye roll, the dismissive comment, the moment you decided not to bring something up because it wasn't worth the energy. That's where intimacy goes to die. Not in the dramatic moments, in the small ones. The question isn't, are we close? The question is, how much of myself am I actually hiding in this relationship? And do I even notice anymore? What moves through her is, I forgot how good it feels to be chosen, not tolerated, not managed, chosen. When two people start to let themselves be seen, really seen, the relationship stops being a performance and starts being a home. Here's the thing nobody teaches you, but everyone needs to know. In every relationship, conflict happens. Distance happens. Hurt happens. That's not the question. The question is, what happens after? Most couples have a repair deficit. They know how to create distance, silence, withdrawal, passive aggression, bringing up past hurts in new arguments. But they don't know how to repair it. They think repair means talking through what happened, explaining themselves, apologizing. And sometimes it does mean that. But real repair is simpler and harder than that. Real repair is the moment you choose to turn toward your partner instead of away. In a small way, in an unsexy way, in a way that has nothing to do with the argument and everything to do with the relationship. Here's what I mean. Disconnection version. After the argument, there's silence. 3 days of silence. Each person waiting for the other to apologize first. Each person interpreting the silence as proof that the relationship is fundamentally broken. Eventually someone says, "Are we okay?" And the other person says, "Yeah, we're fine." And nothing has actually been repaired. Connection version. After the argument, one person, and it only takes one, does something small that says, "I see you. I'm still here." Maybe it's making their partner's coffee the way they like it. Maybe it's sitting next to them on the couch without saying anything. Maybe it's a text during the day that says, "Thinking about you." These are repair attempts. And in a relationship with good emotional safety, they work. They turn the tide. But here's what most people don't know. Repair attempts only work when the person receiving them can actually receive them. And if you're partnered with someone who has a heavily defended nervous system, a repair attempt might not land the first time, or the 5th time. or the 20th time. This is where most people give up. They think, I tried. I said sorry. I tried to make it better. They didn't respond. So I gave up. But the research shows something different. It shows that secure relationships aren't ones where there is no conflict. They're ones where the ratio of repair attempts to ruptures stays positive over time. You don't need to get it right every time. You just need to keep trying, to keep turning toward, to keep showing up even when it doesn't land immediately. And here's what nobody explains. When you keep showing up with repair attempts, something changes in your partner's nervous system over time. It starts to learn, this person keeps coming back. This person doesn't leave when things get hard. Maybe safety is possible after all. That's when your partner stops treating your closeness as a threat and starts treating your presence as a home. This isn't a checklist. It's an invitation. An invitation to show up differently. Not because your partner earns it, not because things are finally perfect, but because you decided to stop letting your unconscious patterns run the show. When you internalize what we talked about today, the nervous system patterns, the withdrawal reflex, the flood response, the repair window, you stop reacting and start responding. And your partner will feel the difference before you've even said a word. Here's the thing. The relationship you want doesn't start when your partner changes. It doesn't start when things get easier or when the arguments stop. It starts the moment you stop waiting for it to get better and decide to become what makes it better. These aren't tips for a better relationship. They're the beginning of becoming the kind of partner you always wanted someone to be for you. And if this video made you feel something, if you felt seen in a way you haven't felt in a while, do me a favor. Don't just close the tab and forget about it. Share it with someone who needs to hear this, someone who's been standing exactly where you're standing, someone who thinks they're failing at love when really they're just caught in a pattern they never learned to see. And if you want more videos like this one, videos that go deeper than the surface, that explain the why behind the what, hit subscribe. Because we've only scratched the surface.